Hello my friends and welcome. It seems like Ukraine continued to push Russians away from Stepovo village. Today we have the good update in favor of Ukraine. So Russians were pushed out from this forest line which they took before and even were able to send reinforcements. Also today Ukraine launched a counterattack straight to Stepovo to get rid of the Russian positions on the eastern flank of this village. Later on I'm gonna show you the actual fight of the Bradleys and Ukrainian infantry forces against the Russian positions that were totally demolished. So for tomorrow I expect the new military map update. I believe that Ukraine was able to propel here as well. On the south from Stepovo the actual fight is ongoing somewhere in this area. The battle is very hard over there, especially in this place. The other map source from the Institute for the Study of War say that Ukraine also propelled from the factory. Yesterday they confirmed the achievement for Ukrainian army near Stepovo, and today they say that Ukraine went on a counterattack with the forces of the Russian Volunteer Corps and also some of the Bradleys, and our guys pushed Russians away from the part of the railroad which was very close to this factory. Before, Russians had several of the attempts to go to this factory. They even tried to cross the fence of it, but unsuccessfully. The Ukrainian forces are holding the ground very firmly on the territory of the local factory. It's good. Here is one more picture from the different source. Definitely Ukraine liberated this forest line and sent more forces to fight very close to the railroad, but Russia again sent more and more forces, but Ukraine performs the air surveillance, drone attacks, strikes using artillery shells, tanks, infantry, everything. So with this backup from the Ukrainian side, I don't think that Russia has the chances to advance to Stepovo in the nearby future. But obviously Ukrainian army needs more resources, but we have some issues. We are the hostage of the politician games which are ongoing in the United States politics. I'm gonna speak about it later in this video because there was the chance for tomorrow, but it seems like it disappeared. Okay, I promised to you the video about the actual fight in Stepovo village. So this is the Stepovo village from what I can see, or what is left from it. This is the Ukrainian infantry together with the Bradley. Bradley is somewhere below our drone, and it started the fire towards the Russian positions at the end of the village. So this is the eastern flank. You may see, oh, here we go with the Bradley. This is the vehicle. Yes, I know that the video is not that good quality, but we have what we have. Later on, Russia fired the smokes to retreat from the place. Probably they were based there with infantry. That is why I expect that Ukraine was able to propel forward to that place. Very effective attack from the Ukrainian side. Awesome. So why Ukraine is able to get some of the ground in Avdiivka direction even though Russia still uses their mid-wave tactics? Well, Ukraine just sent the reinforcements, a very capable 47th Brigade from the south. Because we do not obtain the required weaponry for our army, Ukraine is forced now to go to total defense on the south. It was announced officially by Ukrainian government and President Zelensky himself. The main thing now is to defend the vulnerable areas like, for example, Avdiivka, because it's very important for the possible future Ukrainian advancement, which obviously will not happen this year or maybe even next year, but it's important bridgehead in the Russian defense in the self-proclaimed Republic of DPR territory or whatever. If we lose Avdiivka, we're gonna lose the bridgehead, so it's important for Ukraine to hold there. It wasn't that important to defend Bakhmut compared to Avdiivka. Here really Ukraine needs to do it if possible, obviously. And the guys from the 47th Brigade will obviously help Ukraine to deal with that. They have Bradleys, they have Leopards, they have some of the self-propelled artillery systems and the Soviet tanks too. The images of the reinforcements went to internet today. They were taken somewhere near to Avdiivka. But Russia has their small victory too. They were able to capture one of the Bradleys almost intact, I would say. Well, it lost the caterpillar and also was shrapnelled by the Russian artillery. This is the condition of the unit. One of the caterpillars is absent. I wonder why. It could be artillery strike, it could be the tank strike, it could be the mine. and this part has some of the holes from the shrapnel. So crew decided to leave the vehicle because they were unable to move and they were under the constant Russian fire. The proper decision, I would say. The vehicle was left in the gray zone and Russia had 2 of the attempts to evacuated to their controlled territory. The second attempt was successful, but during the first one they lost their evacuation track, the engineering equipment and their army men. But even with those losses, they were able to conduct this mission with the second evacuation group, and it was only possible because of the weather conditions. It was the thick fog with visibility less than 100 meters. There are some other photos taken of this vehicle. You may see the holes on the side, definitely the shrapnel. Russians say that Ukraine tried to destroy the vehicle after the first Russian evacuation attempt, but finally Russia was able to get it to their place. This is the turret from inside. Russians were fascinated. They said in their media report that the armor of the vehicle is very good. Also the aiming equipment is good, and definitely they like this vehicle. Well, obviously because it's just incomparable to the Russian BMP-3 or whatever. Bradley is the best combat-proven vehicle out there, it's my opinion. Ukraine continued to use the FPV drones on the front lines. This time T-72B3 was targeted with the help of the drone, and the kaboom was really significant. From the single strike, tank was completely demolished and nothing is left from it. Honestly saying, it is happening quite rarely that from the single strike there is such a huge kaboom. So the shell went just into the proper point under the turret where the Russian munition is located, together with crew. Usually there are some damages to tank, it is stopped, and Ukraine have to use many of the FPV drones to get rid of it completely, but here just bullseye. Okay, this video I am unable to show you because it's too much for this platform. The Russian convoy was ambushed with tons of the Russian infantry. However, I will post it on my Telegram channel. You may find it in the video description just below, or scan the QR code available on the screen to access my alternate channel on Telegram. My friends, I update the information there constantly, so please subscribe for me over there. I will gather more information about this ambushed Russian convoy. There were many of the tracks, not just the single one, and I'll tell you the story soon. Russia started to hire to their army some of the Nepalese citizens as well as Cubans. By the way, there was the case recently that 8 of the Nepalese citizens, so the new soldiers of the Russian army, left the positions of their military branch. Well, this one was captured by Ukrainian army. He is from Nepal. So Nepalese ran from the Russian army during the night between 16 and 17 of November, and on December the 1st Russia stopped searching for them because as they believe they are already outside the territory of the Russian Federation. I got the question about the Ukrainian Baba Yaga drone. Well, it looks like that. At least 6 of the mines this drone is able to carry easily. There are some versions with even more of the mines, but those are not the quadricopters but gexacopters, Gekta or Gexa, I actually don't remember, with 6 propellers, let's say. Alright, so this is the strategy of the usual Russian mid-wave attack. They already lost some of the vehicles, those are the Russian tanks, and they came with the infantry vehicles. They landed the infantry, and infantry went straight to the forest line, taking the offense positions for the further movement. The infantry vehicles left the positions immediately, so there is no big caliber backup for the infantry in this place. Again, Ukraine uses the cluster munitions, which is very effective in that case. So if it is not the defense range, the clusters is awesome. So because the Russian infantry attack failed, they again called for the infantry vehicles to take their wounded soldiers and the bodies, but 2 of those Russian vehicles didn't make it to the place because they were targeted by the Ukrainian artillery. So you see that because of the severe losses, Russia is unable to move with their significant forces. That's why they changed their tactics for the smaller groups, but still they were spotted by Ukrainian drones and other stuff and targeted with the help of the drones and artillery. That's why 80% of the Russian soldiers do not make it out from this war in one piece. Our guys flown to the Russian positions using the drone, just were curious what is left there, and they found just a single Russian soldier. I will not show you later what they filmed, but it's just devastation of the Russian infantry. Russia probably will not send many more armored vehicles to rescue the single Russian soldier. I think that it's pretty much understandable. This video was filmed by Russians. You may see the infantry vehicles and some of the tanks going to attack Ukrainian positions. By this time they use many of the vehicles, but at some point then they turn towards the fields. By the way, some of the Russians were just running back. Out of clue what happened there. Well, this vehicle over here in the front, it was ambushed with the help of the Ukrainian FPV drone, probably because the strike was precise, the vehicle was moving, and at the end of the video there is one more strike on one more Russian armored vehicle. So that is what happens after the Russian assault with the huge forces, or with the small forces, as we already saw. Again, they launched some of the smoke. It means that they are retreating from their positions. The attack failed again for them. Alright, let's go back to politician and weaponry topic. Today, President Zelensky should have held the speech in front of the Congress, online obviously. However, just a few minutes before it should have been started, he cancelled it. Why? Because on 6th of December, the House of Representatives should vote for the military help for Israel and for Ukraine. But according to the information coming from the Republican camp, they are not willing to vote for it. If they do not vote or support it, it means that it fails. And I'm sure almost 100% that this voting fails. So what Republicans need? They need to include the internal issues of securing the United States border in the same package with the military support of Israel and Ukraine. Otherwise, they wouldn't support it. Well, maybe after all, they may vote for the help to Israel, but not for Ukraine. And those are the awesome news, but not for us, not for Ukraine, but for Russia and for Putin. Ukraine needs weaponry yesterday. Because of lack of resources, we had to cancel many of the operations, and basically because of the lack in resources, Ukraine also wasn't really successful with the counteroffensive. Russia was and is prevailing with their resources on the front lines. The other thing that they used them very stupidly compared to Ukrainian side, that's why they have tremendous losses. The head of the president's office, the Great Cardinal of Ukrainian politics, Yermak, I know that many of the people do not like this guy, me too, but it is just my personal political preference. So this guy says that Ukraine may even lose without the military support from our key ally, the United States of America. Yes, we have the support from European Union, and not only, but United States supplied us more than 50% of what we have to fight in this war. Without it, Ukraine will continue to lose the ground, continue to lose people. He says that without that military help, there is the huge risk for Ukraine to start to lose positions, and there would be no any possibility for Ukraine to offend in any kind of the configuration. The Ukrainian army is still very motivated, but without resources, we have to go to the total defense, at least for now. The Ukrainian defense minister also confirms that. So the key factor now is to push the agreement of the House of the Representatives to vote for the help for Ukraine, but they start to blackmail, for example, Democrats who do not support the migration reform or the border reform, which was presented by Republicans. So there is the big conflict between those two parties on that question, and Ukraine is basically kept as the hostage in this internal United States issue. Well, I told you many times that if we lose, it's gonna be the huge problem for the United States to secure Europe. I believe that it's gonna be the start of the hot stage of the World War III. Then the United States Army would have to go and fight in Europe, actively protecting some of the countries, for example, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, or Poland, against the Russian possible intervention, where Russia would use the Ukrainian resources too. If we lose, Ukrainian identity will be just erased from the Ukrainian territory. Ukraine will be connected to Russia, and Russia is going to use Ukraine in their attacks towards the other countries. They'll never stop. Russia is empire. And unfortunately, I don't see the political will from the major countries to finish this problem with Russia. Moreover, many of the European countries continue to send the spare parts for the Russian military, including the drones. Finland sent 3,500 drones to the third countries, but it was just the re-export to the Russian Federation. Those countries are Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Armenia, and many more bordering countries with a short supply connections with the Russian Federation. Obviously, the governments of those countries say that they do not trade with Russia, but the facts are the facts. The last night there were at least 30 kabooms reported in Kerch and also Feodosia, the parts of Crimean Peninsula. How do we know it? Well, the Russian people report about it in their social media accounts, plus the Russian army officials said about the 22 targeted Ukrainian drones. But they always say like that even during the ground explosions, so it's hard to tell what exactly was targeted over there or if the Russian air defense worked successfully. Definitely. I might say that now it's the perfect time to get rid of this Russian supply line across the Kerch Channel, because the Russian protection against the drone boats is absent. They are gone because of the huge storm in this area, and Russia still wasn't able to put them again. According to the Washington Post, Ukraine gets lots of the artillery shells from the South Korea. The South Korean government officially do not support that kind of the weaponry to Ukraine, but here they say that South Korea really supports lots of the artillery shells to Ukraine, making it the second country of the artillery shell supplies to Ukraine after the United States of America. Interesting. Some sources say that Azerbaijan also supports military equipment to Ukraine, but Azerbaijan officials say that they do not do it. Finland also starts the production of the artillery shells that will be supplied to Ukraine. How many artillery shells they want to produce, yet we are out of clue. Based on the information also coming from the Russian military bloggers or their side experts, they agree that Ukraine gets more artillery shells than official numbers, and it's the good thing. Okay, to aviation topic, there was the information yesterday that Boryspil Airport is hiring pilots, flight attendants, and other aviation staff, but the airport is unable to do it. The hirement was done for the Ukraine airline, the airline which carries President Zelensky, Ukrainian government, basically official airline. They fly on Antonov 148 and they have one Airbus 390 as far as I remember, and maybe one private jet. And they also have few of the helicopters. The Ukrainian social media exploded yesterday. Everyone thought that Boryspil will start or restart the operation soon. But no, my friends, it will not happen, I think, until the war is over. And even Ukraine airline, the government one, flies abroad, not inside Ukraine. The United States Navy pulled out the Poseidon aircraft which skirted the runway in Hawaiian military airfield. Basically, it's a severely modified Boeing 737 which the United States Navy used for the surveillance mission, and also it might potentially target the submarines. Recently, the United States Army came out with a new modification of this aircraft equipped with artificial intelligence which might help to find submarines more effectively. The United States have the order on this aircraft from many of the countries. Sadly, this aircraft was damaged by the salty water, so I think the equipment suffered a lot. Putin will visit Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates on Wednesday. Saudi Arabia wants to be some sort of the mediator, at least before they got the efforts to somehow stop this war. But Ukraine is not willing to negotiate with Putin because Russia would use this break to accumulate more forces and to strike again. The same we already experienced with the Minsk agreements, which lasted for 8 years, and after it Russia started a full-scale war in Ukraine. So obviously there is no trust to Vladimir Putin. He did the same trick with Chechnya, where he cancelled all the previous agreements between Ichkeria, so Chechnya, and Russia, and it started the full-scale war, finally taking control over Chechnya with the help of Ramzan Kadyrov's clan. Still, they got the power in Chechnya, but it's not forever, I think. The interesting invitation for Putin from Brazilian president, he asks Putin to go to Brazil, but at the same time, the Brazilian president or government do not guarantee that Putin wouldn't be arrested if he decides to go to Brazil, because there is the international warrant on Putin, but UAE or Saudi Arabia haven't ratified the Rome Statute. It means that they are not obligated to arrest Putin. But for Brazil, well, they're not sure, but Putin, please come and check. My friends, don't forget to press the like to this video, and also, if you want to support my job, you may find some of the links in the video description just below. You may support me on Patreon or just on the sponsorship of my YouTube channel. Thank you for your kind support. You are awesome. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.